This week, we're going to kind of move on. We're in our Awake series, right? Yes, we're in our Awake series. Thank you, I'm in the right place. And last week, Neil talked for a little while about embracing your story and kind of waking up to the fact that God is working in your story, and He is in the midst of that, and God is moving and breathing in your story, and just embracing all that is going on there. And this week we're going to kind of move from that, and we're going to talk a little bit about waking up and awakening to the love that God has for you. And before I do that, I want to introduce a kid named Jonathan. And Jonathan is in the book Awake. And so they share his story, and Jonathan is this incredible kid. He's 13 years old, but he loves people and embraces people like nobody I've ever seen. And he's doing amazing things at 13, and just going all over the world and kind of serving people and just loving them in a way that a lot of us can't imagine even loving people. And so Jonathan goes and has all these different campaigns, but one of his campaign will carry him to China, and his campaign will eventually lead him to be kicked out of the country because of what he's doing at 13 years old. And so here's a little bit about Jonathan.
His name's Blueberry, or my sister named him Pretty White, but we all call him Blueberry. Whoa. Aw, it tickles. My previous campaign was One Child, One Tree, One Year, where every child plants at least one tree each year, to help the environment. My fast food restaurant recycling campaign, where I'm trying to get fast food restaurants all around the world to recycle over the counter and not just behind the counter. Well, I think we need to all work together. Well, this is how I can make a difference. I can make a difference by telling other kids about it, so it'll spread. It's like a chain reaction. Some of the schools that I speak at, they start, doing things to help save the environment, turn off the lights, or the kids in the school, turn off the lights when they're done using it, and start planting trees and stuff. So I hope, this is just what I hope, that North Korea will change their mind, and I'll be able to go in and video or interview maybe some people there. And also, I plan to campaign in South Korea at G20 for 3 days. I'm going to talk to them about my Children's Peace Force, and I'm going to try and gain support. I do the Children's Peace Force because, I'm from Korea, and, I'm passionate about it because, all the families have been separated for so long, and they want to see each other again. So, it just kind of touches me in a way. Yeah, there, I got the beak. Alright. Smile.
So Jonathan's story is kind of amazing. He ends up going overseas, and like I said, he campaigns over there, and he eventually, everyone that he was talked to had pretty much said that you were risking being arrested, probably are going to be detained for several days, interrogated and things, and at 13 he still risks it and goes, and really what happens is him and his family are there campaigning, and they pretty much just throw him in a van and take him to the airport and kick him out of the country. But he risked this all for the love of people. He loves people that much that he wants to see these people that he doesn't even know achieve something and see their family again. He's talking about the conflict between North and South Korea. And so he wants them to be able to see each other again. And so he has this great love for people that while he has ties to South Korea, he doesn't even know these people, but he wants to help them, and he loves them in that way. And so tonight, I want us to kind of focus a little bit on the Great Commandment. Anybody recite the greatest commandment for me? Just. And love your neighbor as yourself. Thank you. It is the second one. In all fairness, I'm sorry, I cheated you all. Yes, that is the second commandment. But tonight we're going to talk a little bit about love God and love others, which is what a lot of us break the great commandment down to, right? A lot of people just say well, I believe in loving God and loving people. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So here is, I point at the screen like that's what controls it. It doesn't. It's weird to me. So anyways, here we are in Matthew 22. Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments." So here we go. Here, let's break down these two commandments. So we very simply say love God. All right, I got it. Then we say love others equal to the way you love yourself. And this is really where I want to focus tonight. If the second part of this commandment is to love other people like you love yourself, then what does that say about the way you love yourself? For you to really grasp a hold of this commandment, you really have to what? Love yourself well, right? And I feel like teenagers today, and myself included in my 20s, like a lot of times we struggle with how well we love ourselves. Y'all agree? A lot of times we struggle with how well do we really love ourselves. And if part of the commandment that Jesus is telling me to do is to love other people like I love myself, and I'm not loving myself very well, like I know a lot of people are, then we're not doing it right. We're loving God, but then the other two parts, we're just kind of so on. We're getting 1/3 of it. So we must love other people equal to the way we love ourselves. And I know that teenagers now are struggling with that. A lot of you are probably struggling with self-image and things that are going on and how other people like you and how they treat you and all of those things. And if you don't love yourself enough, you can't love other people. You can't fulfill this commandment. I want to take us to John. So now in John, to give you a little backstory, this is in John 3. John the Baptist has created a following for himself a little bit. Y'all know about this? The guy John the Baptist? Y'all know? Nod your heads. Good. Proud of you. So John the Baptist has created his own little following. He's got people that crowd around him. He has his own disciples at this point, and he is baptizing. We know he was baptizing people, and there are people that were following him around. And a lot of people started to kind of question when this other guy, Jesus, came around, right? Because John was pretty much being like, well, this guy Jesus is even better. And these people that were kind of devoting their lives to John are like, but John, you're real cool. And so now they're kind of in conflict of who do we really follow. And so here's this passage that happens, and he's talking to some of his disciples. It says, now a discussion about purification arose between John's disciples and a Jew. They came to John and said to him, Rabbi, the one who is with you across the Jordan, to whom you testified, here he is baptizing, and all are going to him. So they're kind of scared because all of his followers are now going to Jesus. And John answered, no one can receive anything except what has been given from heaven. You yourselves are my witness that I said, I am not the Messiah, but I have been the one sent ahead of him. He who has the bride is the bridegroom. The friend of the bridegroom who stands and hears him rejoices greatly at the bridegroom's voice. For this reason, my joy has been fulfilled. He must increase, but I must decrease. So this is John's kind of final words to his disciples to say, hey, I hope you understand that I am not the one. I'm merely paving the way for someone greater who's to come. And this is not about me. This passage is all about John pointing to Jesus and saying, Jesus is really the one that you need to be following. And he uses this cool wedding imagery. So here at the end, he talks about bride and bridegroom. How many of you have ever noticed that that there is wedding imagery that happens in the Bible? Yeah, all right, good job. Yeah, there's a lot of wedding imagery that happens, and a lot of times they talk about the bride and the bridegroom. We know that the bride is the girl, and the bridegroom is the dude. We all clear on that? Good, proud of you. All right, so he uses this bride and bridegroom imagery, and we know that a wedding kind of works like this. There's a best man, there's a groom, there's a bride, and a minister, and then a maid of honor. We all tracking here with this? You've been to a wedding, you kind of know how this works. I know that there's a whole lot of other things that go into it, and all you girls are out there being like, what about the photographer? Because that is vital. And I know that it is. I got married. I understand. There's a whole lot of other things that happen. But this is kind of the main components of it. And so here in this passage, what John is pointing out, he points out that, can I go backwards? He just points out that he is the friend of the bridegroom. So if John is the friend of the bridegroom, what does that make him? That makes John the best man. And in Hebrew culture, this is really cool. In Hebrew culture, when you study that about how weddings work, John, as the best man, pretty much organizes the entire shindig, okay? He puts the whole thing together. He calls the caterers. He orders the flowers. He does all of these things to make sure that this wedding happens. All of the legwork is John, the best man. And the coolest part about this is at the last moment, when everything's about to happen, the best man disappears. The best man just leaves. Because the best man wants to make sure that all honor, all glory, all of the things, all the attention are on the bride and the bridegroom in that moment. To make sure that everything is focused towards them. And so at this point, what kind of love is that John says, hey, I'm going to do everything to prepare this wedding for you, and then I'm going to disappear and make sure that no one gives me any credit at all. That's love, right? That's loving somebody. Okay, and second of all, let's think about how cool it was that in this imagery here, that John was Jesus' best man. It's pretty cool to be Jesus' best man. I've been a best man once, and it was fun, but I don't know how it would compare to being Jesus' best man. I would imagine being Jesus' best man was slightly cooler. So John is Jesus' best man here. And we know this. Jesus is marrying who? Figuratively here. Himself. The church. You were tracking though, you're getting there. The church. Jesus is marrying the church, and the church is composed of people, a body of believers. A body of believers are people like in this room right here, right? So Jesus is marrying the church. At one point, he is coming in union with the church. And so John is preparing the way for that union to happen. Let me tell you people who, how many of you have been to a wedding? How many of you have been in a wedding? How many of you have married? All right. I didn't see any teenagers. That was good. If you've been to, I got married this past May, and so I'm kind of sappy. I did. You can woo for that. I appreciate that. So I got married this past May, and let me tell you something. Gentlemen, when you see this walking down the aisle towards you, man, like, it is a feeling like none other. When you... Track with me here. It is like in that moment, and I'm standing down there, and she's walking towards me, and in this moment, it's like this nonverbal thing of saying, I'm going to give you everything I have. And we're about to say that in vows, but I'm going to give you everything that I have. I'm going to try my hardest to give you everything you need. All that is me, I'm going to sacrifice for you. There's that imagery, and see, that's her walking down to me, and see, that's, guys, that's what you look like. Thank you. You wish you looked that good. Anyways, that's me choking back like a waterfall full of tears, because I know of the love that's happening there, and I know what I'm about to say for the rest of my life. I'm going to give you everything. And teenagers, hear me right now. If you hear nothing else, Jesus stands at the end of an aisleway, and you're walking down towards him, and he stands there with a love for you exactly like that. That's the imagery that's being painted there. That Jesus stands here and says, I love you. You are walking towards me, and I love you with everything I have. I love you to lay down my life for you. I will give you absolutely anything. I will care for you in a way like you have never been cared for in your entire life. Jesus stands there, welcoming, giving us this love. That is how Jesus is standing there looking at you. And if we are truly going to wake up awaken ourselves to the fact that we need to love other people, then we have got to realize that we are loved like that. That Jesus stands there saying, I love you, I'm giving you everything that I can. In this moment, we are in union with one another, and everything I have is for you. And if you can embrace that love, imagine what you can go out and do in the world, loving other people that way, right? We love other people like we love ourselves. And if we love ourselves crappy, we're going to love other people crappy. If we love other people, or if we love ourselves like Jesus loves us, like Jesus, like we are Jesus' bride, we are everything, we are his love of his life. If we accept that and love other people, then we go around the world, right? We go around the world and do things like Jonathan was doing. We share that love. We go out into the world, we embrace it. We give it to other people. This week, I want to challenge y'all. And we got kind of a twofer challenge this week. First of all, I want to challenge you to go out this week and embrace the fact that you are a beloved child of God, that Jesus stands there embracing you. Everything you are says, I don't care what all it is, I embrace you, I give you everything at this moment. And the first one I want you to leave this place and go do in your small group. And guys, this may feel a little weird because you're not going to be a bride, I don't think. And so it may feel weird, but think about if you are marrying Jesus, if you're coming into a room with Jesus and y'all are going to say vows to each other that say, I accept you for everything that you are, what kind of vows is Jesus going to write to you? What kind of things do you need to let yourself off the hook for so that you can accept the way that you are loved by Christ and in turn go out and love in the world? Let me pray for it.